Hey guys, this is Moses again from the Moses Services. Some people ask me, because they are working with Indians here in DRC, Indians have invested in business, shops, supermarkets, in many other domains, and they would like to know, as they are working with them, what is the difference, how they can cope and learn Indian English. And they say it's very complicated and different to understand, of course, because it has been influenced by their mother tongue. It means the Hindi language has influenced over English, and it becomes a bit complicated, like Zambian English influenced by Bember, Nigerian English by their mother tongues, and so on. You see, it has been influenced. Now, what is the difference between Indian English and all other Englishes? I will try to give you some points regarding pronunciation, vocabulary, and grammar, so that you can cope with Indians whenever you meet them. For example, in terms of pronunciation, the sounds t, d, and n, which are alveolar in English, in Indian English, they are not pronounced like t, d, n. Absolutely not. They tend to be retroflex. What does it mean, retroflex? It means like r. You see the way I pronounce r in English. It is exactly the same way Indians try to pronounce t, d, and r, like t, d, and r, and n. You see, they don't pronounce t, d, n, like us with the alveolar ridge. No, they pronounce it with the tongue curling back in the mouth and touching the velar, or the palate, the ad palate in the mouth. T, t. You see, instead of saying maybe tongue, they will say tongue. The tongue, you see, tongue. You see, English. You see, the tongue is curled back as a retroflex, like the way you pronounce r. You see, it is exactly the same way they pronounce t, d, and l. You see, digital. This is how Indians pronounce digital. Digital for Americans. Digital. You see, digital. It sounds a bit funny, but this is exactly what you should know if you want to learn Indian English, or if you want to understand what they say. It is a bit different from t, d, n we speak in standard British and all other languages of English. The second aspect of pronunciation is sounds clusters. For instance, the initial sound, when there is sk, sl, sp, they do not exist in Indian English. What does it mean? If a word like speak, in Indian English it does not exist. Sl does not exist. Slang, slowly, it does not exist. And sk, skim, skeleton, scout, that sound does not exist in Indian English. If you see an Indian pronouncing it, it means they have got that linguistic capacity. But normally in Hindi, their mother tongue, there is no sk, there is no sl, there is no sp. Reason why Indian, as they add e, like Zambians. You see, they add e at the beginning of words, starting with sk, sl, and sp. For instance, do you speak English? They say, do you speak English? Do you speak English? They add e at the beginning of every word, starting with sk, sl, and sp. They say, instead of school, they say is school. Instead of sleep, they say is sleep. Instead of speech, they say is speech. Instead of skeleton, is skeleton. You see, is skeleton, is skeleton. You see, that is how Indians sound in terms of pronunciation. And the third point is w and v are the same in Indian English. They sound w. The velar, the labiovelar sounds, we pronounce it either with mouths or the lips coming together and the tongue touching the ad palate, which is w, and v is pronounced with it is a labiodental sound. The lip and the teeth, upper teeth, come into contact. V. is pronounced like w. It is the same for Indians. They do not know the difference between w and v. For them it is exactly the same way. For instance, when you say wet and wet, it is different. Wet and vet, veterinarian, vet and wet. It is completely the same for them. There is no difference between w and v. Sometimes they say vet for I am wet. They say I'm vet. Or a vet, they say a wet. You see, there is no difference at all between w and v in Indian English. So this is the first point, pronunciation. There are three differences from other English dialects. The first one, Indians do not pronounce t, d, n the way we do. They pronounce it differently, like retroflex, like that is the second point. Sk, sl, sp do not exist in as initial sounds in Indian English. Why? They add e. Speak is speak, sk is skeleton, and so on. And finally, the sound w and v are completely the same in Indian English. Thank you. I will keep on with the next video for vocabulary and grammar. Thank you so much. This has been Moses from the Moses Services. Ciao.